Welcome to Homeschooling Academy once again. My name is Godfrey Chaze, the teacher, and this is episode number 4. I'm welcoming you to, if you have been following us on this series where we are defining home education. On this YouTube channel, Homeschooling Academy, we share nothing but education. We are talking about education. What is education? What kind of education is out there? How can we benefit from it as adults, but also as children? And in our last 3 episodes, we defined what homeschooling is. We talked about why do people homeschool their children. And we also talked about the 3 pillars that differentiate home education from other systems of education. If you liked those videos, I want to encourage you, please, to share, read them with others, but also subscribe so that we can grow together this YouTube channel. And in this episode, we want to talk about another question. You know, these are questions that come from you, from parents like you, or from other people who watch the program like you. I encourage you also, when you're watching and you have any question, you can share it out there in the comment section. Maybe it can form our next video for us to be able to respond to it. So today, we are dealing with the question of, can non-trained parents be able to teach their children? In other words, mere parents who are not professionally trained teachers. They are not licensed teachers. They are not professional, basically, as people would want to put it. Can they really be able to facilitate the teaching and learning, the one we talked about, which is home-based, parent-led, and private? And this is my answer to that. You know, when we talk about education, we need to think about the role of a teacher. What is the role of a teacher? Leave alone being in the home environment, even in the school setup. What's the role of a teacher? I always say that the role of a teacher is not necessarily to teach a child what they need to learn. Don't teach what, but teach a child how they need to learn. In others, we teach the what. We teach the how, not the what. Because I want you to think about it. It doesn't matter how much time you'll have with a child, with a learner. And it does not matter what subject you're trying to teach, which class you're trying to take them through. There will never be any amount of time that will say this is sufficient to teach them everything that is out there for them to learn in that class. So you do them a favor by handing them a hook instead of trying to give them a fish. And what is the hook in this case? The hook in this case is that every learner out there, if they are to become lifelong learners, they need to be taught how to learn, how to be independent learners, how to learn by themselves, vis-a-vis being dependent, being enslaved to only learn when there is someone else standing before them. And that is how these homeschool parents, who are not necessarily professionally trained teachers, that's how they manage. They don't spend most of their time focusing on teaching the what. As long as they are able to facilitate their children to be able to learn the how learning takes place, how do people learn, and in another video I'll share, or in another episode I will talk about how do you teach the how to learn. Because it's very important, it's very critical. And this is not only in the homeschool environment, even in the school. We need to encourage children, our learners, to learn how to learn, to become independent in their learning, to take on education in their own hands, to become responsible people. That way they will become lifelong learners, even when they are gone, when they are beyond this particular level where you're teaching them from, when they are beyond the home environment, when they are out of the school context, they will continue to learn because they learned the skills of how to learn. Think about home education as parenting. Actually, teaching and learning is the same relationship between a parent and the child. That's how teaching and learning is. Now, think about it in terms of parenting. I look at education as spoon feeding. Every child, when God gives them to us as parents, we begin by taking care of them, by taking care of them in every way. We begin by feeding them, but spoon feeding them. But you never plan to spoon feed your child forever. there must be a time when you wean them from the spoon and you hand the spoon in their hands so that they can teach themselves. And that's the only way you can succeed in homeschooling as a non-trained or non-professional parent, in ensuring that you facilitate the learning of your child, is by focusing on equipping them with the skills of how to learn. And as I've promised, in another video, we'll talk about those skills. What are those things you can focus on and help the child to learn how to learn? But also, every family is set up in a community. In the village where you are, in the city where you live, you have a community. It could be a church community, it could be your mosque, it could be a clan, and a group where you associate voluntarily, where you come together with other people who are like-minded and like-hearted. With those people, you can actually come together and form a community or form a small group. In homeschooling, we call them co-ops. You can form a co-op where if parent X is maybe a professional in a certain skill, on a certain day, all of us can take our children to that parent and they equip our children. And if another parent Y is an expert in another skill, we can all agree and take all our children to that parent, and that parent equips our children in a certain skill. Or we can bring our children together and we hire a certain professional in a certain field where we want our children to acquire that skill. In other words, there are so many ways to go around it. It does not necessarily have to be a professionally trained teacher. Am I seeming like saying that there is no place for professional teachers? That's not what I'm saying. Actually, just like it is with other disciplines in life. I mean, I can give an example of economics. We are not all professionally trained economists. But does that mean we don't participate in economic activities? We do participate in economic activities. So it is with education. There's a place for professional educators in our society. But let these people remain as professionals who we can consult. But any one of us can participate in the teaching and the learning craft. This is the YouTube channel, Homeline Academy, where we'll keep talking about these kinds of values and these kinds of things that will encourage us to think and to look at education outside, sort of outside of the norm we are familiar with. Again, my name is Godfrey Chaze, the teacher. I encourage you to subscribe and share the video with others.